Hello, my name is Lisa Weiss, and I work in the Department of Multilingual Learners and English Language Learners at the Brooklyn North Borough Citywide Office. Welcome to the Bilingual Programs Overview. Today, we will be discussing the differences between the different types of programs available for multilingual learners and English language learners here in the New York City Department of Education, as well as the benefits of bilingual education. There are three types of programs in which multilingual learners and English language learners can receive services in the New York City public schools. In dual language programs, the class is usually made up of students who are proficient in each language. Students are taught in two languages, English and their home language, such as Spanish, Chinese, or French, among others. The goal of this program is for students to be able to read, write, and speak in both English and their home language. In most dual language classes, the home language and English are used equally. In a transitional bilingual education program, the goal is to transition students to an English-only setting as soon as possible. A certain percent of the day and week is spent in the home language based on the English proficiency level of the students. All students in a transitional bilingual education program have the same home language and are English language learners. English as a new language used to be called English as a second language, or ESL. In this program, instruction is provided in English with support in the student's home language so they can learn to read, write, and speak in English. Students in this program may come from many different backgrounds, and English may be the only common language among them. In a dual language program, the goal is to have 50% of the students who are multilingual learners or English language learners, and 50% who are proficient in English. This gives both groups of students opportunities to learn from each other and serve as language models in their home language. In most dual language programs in New York City, students receive 50% of the instructional time in English and 50% in the target language. In dual language, the student's native language is used to strengthen proficiency in both the target language and English. Students in dual language programs will remain in these programs through graduation. Since the goal is bilingualism and biliteracy, students do not exit the program as they would in a transitional bilingual education class. In most programs, all subjects are taught in both languages. The language in which each subject is taught may change by day, week, or unit. There are some ways in which dual language programs vary across the city. Some programs are self-contained, while others are side-by-side. Some are one-way versus two-way. Some programs teach literacy in a sequential manner, while others teach both languages simultaneously. The language may switch using the roller coaster model, or it may change by the day, week, or unit. There are some programs which are full immersion, known as the 90-10 model, but most programs are partial immersion, known as the 50-50 model. In a self-contained class, one teacher teaches in both English and the target language. In a side-by-side class, there are two teachers with two classes. One teacher always teaches in English, and the other teacher teaches in the target language. The classes switch between the two teachers, usually every other day. Usually, if a program is one-way or two-way, is decided by the population of the school and the surrounding community. In a one-way program, all or most of the students speak the target language, or English. In a two-way program, equal numbers of students speak the target language and English and are acquiring the other language. In a program where literacy is taught sequentially, literacy is provided in the student's home language during their literacy block in grades K to 2. In grade 3, the students will transition to a simultaneous model where they receive literacy in both languages, usually on alternate days. This requires a homogeneous grouping. In a program where literacy is taught simultaneously, initial literacy instruction is provided to students in English and the target language, usually using alternate days from grades K to 5. This is more common and will happen in a heterogeneous grouping. In a roller coaster model of a dual language program, students begin the week in one language and then switch to the other language in the afternoon. The following day, they start with the other language in the morning and switch again in the afternoon. Other programs switch by day, week, or unit of study. Certain content areas may also be taught in certain languages. The separation of languages also varies between dual language programs. In some programs, the languages are separated by person. I mentioned this earlier, how in a side-by-side class there are two teachers and each teaches exclusively in one language. This is also usually a separation of place, as each teacher has their own classroom and all materials and charts are in the language that teacher teaches. Languages might be separated by time, as in the roller coaster model, where one day one language is taught in the morning, the other in the afternoon. Then the following day, the order of the languages switches. Finally, in some program, content areas are taught exclusively in one language. In a 90-10 model, students learn 90% of the time in the target language and 10% of the time in English, in kindergarten. As they move through the grades, the amount of time in the target language decreases and the amount of time in English increases. As mentioned earlier, most programs in New York City are 50-50, so students learn 50% of the time in each language. Now we'd like to share with you a little bit of information about the research that shows dual language education is a significant source of support for multilingual learners and English language learners. Virginia Collier and Wayne Thomas studied the records of 7.5 million English language learners of all language backgrounds from grades K through 12 over 32 years. The research shows that after 5 or 6 years, English language learners who attended high-quality, long-term dual language programs achieve at the same level as students who are English proficient and may even outperform native English speakers on standardized tests. Here we see the evidence of how English learners achieved over long periods of time. As you can see, the lowest level of achievement in 11th grade came from students who only received pull-out ESL, or what we now call ENL. Students who were able to have the highest level of achievement in 11th grade were students who had been in a two-way dual language program through 5th grade. These are the students who received a high level of home language support in the early years of their schooling and also had language models, as there were English proficient students in their dual language classes. These students scored above average, and the highest of all of the different groups of English language learners. A study by the RAND Corporation found that English language learners in dual language programs were academically successful in several areas. ELs in dual language programs were found to outperform their peers on state reading tests and be more likely to be classified as English proficient by grade 6 when compared to ELs who were not in dual language programs. Students in dual language programs are able to use their native language, which helps them maintain their sense of identity and heritage, and helps to improve the student's self-esteem and confidence. This confidence can also help with students' communication skills in the home language and in English. This will make them more likely to take on leadership roles in the classroom. They are more likely to participate in classroom discussions. When English language learners are able to demonstrate their strengths, they better understand how capable they are. In English-only classrooms, they are starting from behind. In dual language classrooms, all students are learning one language and proficient in another. When students feel successful in class, they are more motivated and engaged in academic tasks. Students in dual language programs tend to outperform their peers academically. They improve their communication skills in both languages and increase their future career prospects. Before we end our session today, I would like to address some common misconceptions about dual language programs. Myth number 1. My child will learn English faster and better in a classroom where only English is spoken. Many times, parents believe that children will learn English faster when they are in an English-only classroom. While children do learn social English very quickly in English-only environments, research shows that they are more academically successful when they have the support of their native language in school. The more native language support students receive, the more likely they are to excel academically. Myth number 2. If I speak or read to my child in my home language, he or she won't learn English as quickly. Many parents believe they are supporting their child by trying to only speak to them in English. Children who are exposed to more language at home tend to be more successful in school. This is regardless of what language is spoken. If you speak a language other than English, speak to your child in that language as much as possible. Myth number 3. My child should learn to read in English only to help him or her do better academically. Children who learn to read in their home language first tend to do better academically because they are able to transfer the skills they learned reading in the home language when they learn to read in English. It is challenging to read in a language you don't know, but if your child learns to read in his or her home language, it makes learning to read in English easier. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please complete the survey below. The link can also be found in the description of this session.